We're going to go ahead and talk about how to make a print. Now that you have your contact sheet and you've picked out which prints you want to make, we're going to talk about enlarging with the enlarger. So what you're going to need is you're going to need your strip of negatives. The one picture that you've chosen out needs to be attached to your strip. You're going to need your mat board. Again, a filter too. You're going to need your paper and a magazine because we're going to go ahead and make a test strip for our print. So your first step is to lift the enlarger head, twist the knob on the side. You're going to take out the negative carrier. You're going to carefully slide your negatives in. Make sure that the shiny side of your negatives is facing upwards. You can also hold it against our darkroom light and kind of fix it in a way to make sure that your negative fits into the rectangle space. You're going to go ahead and slide that back in. Remember, glossy side up. Close your negative carrier. You're going to go ahead and come to your timer. You're going to turn it on. Again, we're going to set it at 5 seconds for a test strip. You're going to press focus. You need to make sure that your negative is going to show up in this rectangle right here. So I might need to lift or lower my enlarger head to get it to fit. From here, I'm going to go ahead and open my aperture to 3.5 so that I have enough light to focus. And I'm going to go ahead and focus my negative in here by moving this focus knob. Once I know that it's nice and focused, I'm going to go ahead and set my timer on time and get out my test strip. Before you start your test strip, you want to make sure your aperture is at 8. So we had it at 3.5 to focus our picture, and now we're going to move it down to 8 to make our test strip. I'm going to set up my magazine. I have my filter 2 here, and remember you want to move it under your aperture so that any of these little tiny scratches or water spots don't get on your print. And I'm going to go ahead and make my test strip for my print. Remember, you want one tiny square showing, and you're going to move your magazine over to keep getting those different bands of contrast. From here, you're going to take it out and you're going to process it in the chemicals. Okay, so here we have our test strip, and you guys can see those different bands of contrast in here, keeping in mind that our most amount of time is going to be our darkest band. So we're going to start here at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. We have good exposure. You can see lights and darks, but the contrast is not very strong. You can see it's kind of all muddled and gray. One way you can fix this is that you're going to move from a filter 2 to a filter 5. Okay. You're going to go ahead and make another test strip at a filter 5. What this is going to do is it's going to up your contrast. And we have one ready for you so you can see. Okay, this is our filter 2 and this is our filter 5 test strip. You can see that there's more highlights and shadows, blacks and whites. And based on this test strip, I would say a good time for our final print, our final exposure would probably be 10 seconds. So that's what we're going to make our final print at. So now that we've determined our exposure time and our filter, I'm going to go ahead and set our timer to 10 seconds based on my test strip. I want to make sure that based on my test strip I have a filter 5. I'm going to grab a piece of paper out, keeping in mind that you never want to do this with the lights on. I'm going to go ahead and find my glossy side, slide that in there, hold my filter 5, and I can start making my print without a magazine because we no longer need a test strip. And you're ready to go for your chemicals. Okay, and here we have our final print. You can see that there's some nice darks and lights. Her face pops out a lot and she really is kind of a standalone in her background. And from here, you're gonna go ahead and trim it and mat it and turn it in.